Mr. Stone ain't walking away from this completely unharmed either. Look at him. You see his legs are still shaky from getting penetrated by Mr. What's up, fool? So check it. Episode 5, it start out with the car, like the engine that they make. And if you remember from last time, the thing just took off without them. And I was like, that's probably not the way it should work. But I guess there's some time warpily woogly boogly still going on right now. Cause it's still there. But that don't matter cause it take off again anyway. But this time Muscles is there. And he said, Chales, I'm not gonna let you be better than me. So it's Rambo versus the train. And the music is all dramatic and the people are like, oh my gosh. And right as it looked like Muscles about to win, the train take that fool out. So Mr. Stone is trying to explain to these fools, not to play in traffic and whatever. And we see that La Jaina, I guess she has a tumor or something because that hand is way too big. But Sasuke, let's not talk about that. She's probably sensitive. So I'm looking at the train, yeah? And I'm thinking this engine, it needs like a body. Right now, it's not going to carry anything. And then the intro play. So after the intro, we see that baby Mr. Stone, he getting locked up in like this hole in the wall. And what was this fool's name? I think I called him Silver last time, but Sasuke, he looks more like a Güero to me. So Güero asked Rambo, he like, hey fool, why we keeping this vato out here in the open like this? But Rambo doesn't tell him anything. He's like, nah fool, I gotta be dramatic, I'll tell you in a minute. So back to Mr. Stone, and we see that Payaso is the test dummy for their little like choo-choo car. Now I ain't a car guy, but other than the suspension, tires, piston, drivetrain, doors, gearbox, and springs, this thing is pretty much perfect. So Payaso's just acting up, he's just complaining over nothing. But Mr. Stone can't hear me or you when we tell him this. So he listens to Payaso and he takes him back to the village. And you see at the village that they making the tires out of like bamboo or something. And while Mr. Stone is telling Payaso how they making the tires, Abuelito somehow finish it and he make a boat by accident. But Abuelito's sad. And he's sad because baby Mr. Stone isn't here to help them make the boat. It's okay though, because baby Mr. Stone is gonna see this when it goes to go save him. And now that it's time for everybody to go and try and save baby Mr. Stone, a gang of old people show up. And Mr. Stone, he like, where you fools come from? And the old people, they're like, mira Mr. Stone, I get it, okay? You want all of us to come with you, you want us all to like stab Rambo and whatever, but let's be real, dog, I'm about like 3 feet in the grave. I ain't trying to get caught up in all that, okay? How about you go with your little boat car thingy, and me and the rest of the old people are gonna kick it here and like crochet or whatever. Mr. Stone ain't about that though. He wants to have all of the old people, he wants them all to come with them so that they could go to war and it could be a great time, it's like one of those picnics. A 300 picnic. But you gotta remember, old people, they kinda like wise and whatever. So when he says, nah fool, you gotta roll with me, the old people, they come back and say, Mr. Stone, look, I understand, okay? You want us to feel like we're a part of this. You got lots of feelings. He said, no, I don't. I'm leaving. Goodbye. So they dip, and now they're gonna go say what's up to Rambo. On their way to go say what's up, you find out that having a 1-cylinder engine isn't the best idea in the world. And because this only has 1 piston, this isn't gonna make it up the hill. In fact, I'm kind of surprised it's going at all. So while everybody's pushing the steamboat car, Mr. Stone, he gets an idea. He's like, I got an idea. And everybody look at him like he's crazy. The anime does some like weird jumpy thing right now because they were going up the hill talking about this fool's idea, and now they on another hill looking at Rambo's base. We never even find out what that fool's idea was. But you know what, it's anime, so whatever. So La Jaina, she's posted up, she got her like telescope on and whatever, and she looking at Rambo's base and she like, I'm gonna figure out where they're keeping baby Mr. Stone. And that's when La Chiquita, she turns into like a ball and she goes rolling in there because La Chiquita is a true spy. She's going over there and she's gonna know what's up. She's gonna tell these fools what's happening. And right as La Chiquita's about to give up because she can't find him, baby Mr. Stone, he look out his little jail cell and he see her. And he like, oh yeah, Chiquita, what's up, fool? And she like, oh, I found him. Baby Mr. Stone's guards, they're looking at him like, hey fool, did you lose your mind or something? So now that La Chiquita knows exactly where baby Mr. Stone is at, she heads back to the base. And back at the base, we see that Mr. Stone's idea was to turn the boat into a tank. And even though Abuelito doesn't exactly know what a tank is, he's not about that. He doesn't want his boat to be suddenly turned into something ugly. Payaso, on the other hand, he knows what a tank is, and he says, oh yeah, Mr. Stone, where are we supposed to get all this metal from, huh? And Mr. Stone tells me, says, fool, don't even trip, fool. We're not gonna use metal, okay? We're gonna use paper. And baby Mr. Stone wants to know how exactly he's gonna get paper. And it turns out you can make paper out of grass. Which then makes me wonder, why are we cutting down so many trees? My neighbor never cuts their lawn. We got plenty of paper right there then. But I guess in this world it doesn't really matter, you know, because there's like 20 people in total. So they make the paper shield. And Straight Edge is a little bit skeptical of this, because he could cut down a tree with his stick and he doesn't see this flimsy piece of paper stopping anything. So Mr. Stoney says, if you really down me, fool, hit me with your spear. Penetrate my defenses with your silver tip stick. And Straight Edge, he don't like this idea. But he was told to penetrate Mr. Stone. So that's what he does. He thrusts his stick at Mr. Stone to penetrate all of his defenses. And the spear breaks. Don't think Mr. Stone is completely unscratched either, okay? Straight Edge thrusts his spear at him so hard that his whole body is still shaking. And watching Mr. Stone shake, Payaso figure it out. He say, this isn't normal paper, is it, fool? That plastic you did? You put it on there and made it into carbon fiber? Like the stuff in cars? Okay. So they put all the carbon fiber and they stick it on the boat, and now it's not really a tank, but they're calling it a tank. And if this is actually carbon fiber, it might be able to stop bullets. So let's go see what baby Mr. Stone has been doing, yeah? So baby Mr. Stone, you know, he kicking it over there inside of his cell, and he look outside, and it turns out they set up traps. Now that Rambo spent the last 20 minutes being all dramatic, he's finally ready to tell Güero what's going on. You see, Rambo's been expecting that Mr. Stone is gonna make a car. So, he wants to keep baby Mr. Stone somewhere that's easy to see. That way, when Mr. Stone come through with his little car, the car will fall inside of one of the traps. And Güero goes, you know, fool, I think you're starting to get a little paranoid right now, okay? There's no way they really make a car right now. But Rambo, he's not listening. Rambo knows not to underestimate his enemy. Baby Mr. Stone though, he's still captured. But now, he's putting on his big boy chonies and he's saying, ¿Sabes qué? I'm gonna try and break out of here by myself. And La Jaina, she makes this face. I don't know what this face means, but it probably means something important. But with that, the episode ends. Y también I end too. So, if you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment y subscribe. Y sabes que, follow me on Twitter también. Y con eso, hasta luego.